Let's talk about impulsivity and ADHD. So you meet someone, you decide to have a drink with this person within 5 minutes of meeting them. And 20 minutes later, you're divulging your personal, deepest secrets and way too much information to this individual. About an hour later, you're feeling a little bad about that. So you see a great pop-up store and you shop. And then you stop at a couple more stores after. And truly, you just walked outside so you could buy a couple of groceries to finish cooking dinner. Impulsivity and ADHD. This is just a Tuesday living abroad with ADHD. Let's talk about it. Hi, I'm Tamarin. Thanks for joining my channel, Live Abroad with ADHD. I have spent almost 20 years living in different countries and traveling the world, and I've enjoyed it thoroughly. I also have ADHD, and it has made living and traveling overseas so much more exciting and challenging at the same time. So today I want to talk a little bit about impulsivity. Impulsivity has to be one of the things I have stressed out the most about over these years living in different countries. There's a lot of things that come with ADHD. And again, I'm not an expert, I'm not a medical doctor, but I'm someone who has moved from country to country, traveled from place to place, trying to figure out what role my ADHD plays, enjoying the atmosphere or getting to know people, or figuring out the ropes of the new country that I need to live in. And impulsivity is one of the things that has probably made me feel bad most of the time. Let me give you an example. Have you ever gone to a new place and you're meeting some new people and you're really excited about it? You don't know anybody, maybe you know a couple of people that you met online, and suddenly you have a chance to get to know some new networks. And you start small talk with, as an ADHD person, you already are not happy with. And then you start to divulge a little bit too much information too quickly. You share heavy details. You give personal tidbits about your life. By the way, you've been at the party for 10 minutes. That is impulsivity connected with ADHD. Sometimes you go into way too much detail. You share personal information you just really don't want to with a perfect stranger or someone that you're trying to build a friendship with, or at least an acquaintance that you can know and maybe have to meet up for lunch or wine. And that can be a bit much for the other person. And maybe you're not going to make friends as easily as you thought, because ADHD, and on top of being in another country, this is one of the trickiest periods for you. Your hormone and dopamine levels are going up and down, up and down. You're all over the place. Nothing's familiar. You're confused and you're excited all at the same time. And then you meet someone and that impulsivity kicks in. What about interrupting? Maybe you interrupt too quickly, maybe you interrupt too much, and that person's just trying to introduce themselves and explain something about this town that they're from. And you're so eager to jump in there and maybe not lose your train of thought, because our short-term memory can be a bit sketch. You jump in and the person is turned off maybe a little bit or unclear about why you interrupt them so quickly. I have to say, I have walked away feeling regret and remorse because I did not come off on the right foot with somebody, or I'm networking and I just beat myself up later. And that's another classic thing that people with ADHD do. One time I was at this wonderful party. I was so excited to be invited, and there looked like lots of people that I could potentially network with and connect with, and maybe some women who seemed like they could be new friends. I had already been invited out to lunch the following week. And the more nervous and excitable I got about this small talk and this party, the next thing I know, this new friend that I think that I've made Someone else joins her and I start divulging all sorts of information, odd information, weird information. I don't even know what I was talking about. Then I start getting nervous because I'm seeing their reaction, and my impulsivity would not allow me to be patient in that moment. Instead, I just spoke faster. I got more uncomfortable, and they both walked away and definitely never heard from either one of them again. I don't know about you, but I have definitely done this way too many times to count. And then I feel so regretful later. When you're living in another country or you're traveling overseas for a few weeks or a few months, this can be detrimental. When you go somewhere new, it doesn't matter, school, a new city, a new church or a mosque, you want to make a connection with another person. But sometimes the impulsivity of ADHD can throw a wrench into some of your plans. Another thing that can be tricky is preparing mundane tasks. I don't know about you, but packing and loading boxes is just not on the top of my to-do list, even though it needs to be on the top of my to-do list. Moving somewhere is so stressful, and you have to do and arrange a lot of tasks one by one. And someone like me, I really have to be planned out, and I have to have this stuff planned out for quite some time. I have timelines, I have charts, right? But the actual initiation of these tasks, particularly if they're mundane in nature, for example, you continuing to work on the visa application for the country that you're planning to go to for a period of time. And they're asking a lot of detailed questions, and it's a really lengthy application. You don't know why. And after the first page, you're just bored and over it. These tasks, which seem mundane altogether, are essentially important and a part of the journey of moving and traveling overseas. And sometimes things like impulsivity affect our ability to stick with one task, no matter how mundane it may be. Another thing that affects me on the impulsivity front when I'm living overseas is just generally having external stimuli. So sensory overload, too much noise, too many distractions. And it's crazy, right? Because I could move to a place or be visiting a place that's meant to be calm and serene. And maybe the whole reason I chose that location is because I wanted serenity. But when I'm there, because of sensory overload and my ADHD, and I'm already at a high level of stress and anxiety in the United States, where I'm from, maybe I would not have been overloaded by some of those sounds and noises and people speaking loudly. But in this new country where I have been for a couple of weeks and I'm trying to learn, I'm trying to figure out just where I am and get accustomed to things, sensory overload is to another level. Prepare yourself for all of these likely conditions. Look, when you're somewhere new, you're just trying to get accustomed and used to normal life. It's a new normal for you, but maybe not for the people around you and for the businesses and the friends and the stores that you're frequenting or whatever. And so now we have to practice some patience, and we need to work on how impulsivity can affect us building networks, can affect us actually using those first couple of weeks or first couple of months to get settled the right way. Have you ever had a morning where you woke up and it just didn't go as planned? You woke up on the wrong side of the bed. That's what it's like for someone with ADHD, with impulsivity, who doesn't plan before they go on that international trip, before they travel, before they move abroad for several years. Impulsivity can really be a downer. It can really kill a lot of opportunities and dreams and the opportunity for you to get settled and to essentially wake up from bed in the morning and just have a great day. Try your best to not get yourself in a situation where you haven't planned, you haven't prepared yourself. What are some ways to do that? Meditation helped me tremendously. I made it a mission of mine to ensure that I had meditation between 10 and 30 minutes every morning after waking up in my new destination. And sometimes that could be hard. Dopamine is flowing, I'm excited, and all I want to do is get outside and explore this wonderful new city and area that I'm living in. But I have to stick to it. If I don't stick to the meditation, my whole day just gets off-centered, and I really need to be focused and to be patient and be able to deal with moments of impulsivity. I also like to keep a lot of spreadsheets and tasks and keep things color-coded. Now, look, I know this isn't for everyone. It can take a lot of time. And if you click on the show notes and the link in the bio, I have some digital products that you can download that can help you with some of that. I've been working on this for years and I'm happy to share it. One thing I think that people should consider is if you're more organized and planned out, if you have things color-coded, for example, your packing boxes and your system for packing all of your belongings, what comes ahead of you? What comes after you arrive when the ship actually docks and you finally get your things 3 months later? What do you do with all of these boxes and you have 20 boxes that just say kitchen written on them? That is so incredibly frustrating. I have packing lists. I have a color-coded packing list. I have different itineraries to help me figure out the best way, depending on where I'm going and for how long I'm there, what the best way to unpack is. For me, that means one by one in an organized manner, and I know what I'm doing each day. For others, that may mean trying to get through as many boxes as you possibly can unpack as quickly as possible. Look, I'm not trying to change your whole system. If it works for you, great. Some systems don't always work for people when they're in a new place and a new location where everything is foreign, and maybe there are things that have come up that they didn't necessarily anticipate. And remember, for impulsivity, ADHDers, we tend to say yes before we even check in with ourselves. Let me give you an example. You've moved into your new place and your neighbor knocks on your door to introduce themselves. And they say, you should probably attend the social that's happening in the building tomorrow evening. And before they can finish, yes, absolutely. I know it's hard. You want to make friends, you want to be invited to the social, and you're so excited to be asked, and you're so happy to be meeting new people in this new culture. What a great opportunity to go to a social. But before you jump to saying yes, before you jump to making any decision like that, try to practice a breathing exercise. I like to breathe for 4 seconds in and 4 seconds out before I offer a decision. And to be honest, most of the time, particularly when I'm in a new place and a new environment, I let the person know that I'm grateful for the invite or thankful for whatever offer they're giving, and I'm going to go ahead and get back to them if I could get their number or if they could tell me what apartment they're in, whatever. And then I can actually sit with myself. Is this the right time? Am I exhausted from my long international trip? Maybe you're on a flight for 14 hours and then you had to get on another flight for 9 hours. Maybe your boxes just came in that morning. Maybe you have a pet who is feeling very uncomfortable about this new environment. You need to check in with yourself. And sometimes as an ADHDer, we're so impulsive and we're so wanting to please that we just say yes, and we're so affirmative and positive, and later on we're regretting it and it's messing up our entire flow. Try to pause before you answer or come up with a little trick like I've done on breathing or getting back to somebody. If you're interested in any more tips or any digital products that can help you prepare for international travel, moving internationally, click on the link. You can download them on my Etsy shop. Also, I have a curated list of products that you can purchase from an online store that will help you prepare for your entire journey from the moment that you're starting to prepare to 6 to 12 months in the new country when you're outfitting your house to make it exactly what you want it to be. And if you want some more support, I offer one-on-one service consultations. We can talk about it. I can help you with the specific country that you're going to, what you may need, and just help you with some tools, things that I've actually used, tested, and worked for me, friends, colleagues, acquaintances, mentees that I've known over the years who also needed the same help. Because being neurodivergent in another country, it's not easy. But once you figure it out and you make it work for you, you're going to have one of the best experiences of your life. Thanks for joining. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Please like the video.